Yeah, there's so much to unpack. I think the thing that gets me the most, and I understand there's been already some damage control that's taken place here by LeBron James. He talked about, Daryl Morey not being educated. Educated, not in the issue that he was tweeting about. No, no, no. That comment was in regards to the fallout and the amount of money that he might be taking out of his fellow players' hands.
Yeah, this was just so strange because, yeah, even his, like, they say the cover up is worse than the crime. And, like, in some ways, his backtracking here only showed that, first of all, he's lying about what he was talking about. And second of all, that even if he was trying to comment on this, it's just as bad what you're saying, LeBron. Like, how is someone not come in from his PR team and be like, hey, man, cool it with the tweets for just a quick second. Let's really hash out our next move. Because what you've done so far is just continue to compound the issue. You're rolling the snowball down the hill.
Even if we take him at his word for the response, tweet, and comment after the fact, LeBron James is saying that Daryl Morey didn't think enough about how much money we'd all lose speaking up for the people who are voiceless in Hong Kong that are fighting against an authoritative rule in China. He didn't think enough about the money when he sent out the tweet.
Yeah, then he, again, doubled down and said, my team in this league just went through a difficult week. I think people need to understand what a tweet or statement can do to others. And I believe nobody stopped and considered what would happen, could have waited a week to send it. Again, all this does is show unbelievable ignorance on the behalf of LeBron James, who I truly believed up until this moment was too smart to say stuff like this. Like, if you just pick apart this on its face value, first of all, he's basically telling someone that if you believe in standing up for people and their human rights and, not being rounded up into concentration camps or freedom of speech, you should wait. Like, you should hold on. There's an appropriate time to
see how much money you're going to lose by speaking out on the subject.
Weigh it out. And then if he's speaking about his and his teammates' personal safety, like if they felt threatened, like, isn't this more of a reason to speak out against China?
Yeah.
Like, isn't this the number one thing to be like, hey, you know what's wild? This GM tweeted something that was like pretty innocuous when it comes to like what's accepted in our culture, like standing up for people and human rights. And we felt so endangered because of that person's tweet that it ruined our week. And now it's a complicated issue. It's like, no, it doesn't seem too complicated. It seems like you were in a really scary place over something that really shouldn't make something a scary place.
I saw some tweets yesterday about how this is a lose-lose situation to comment if you're a player. I don't know if I buy that in this situation either, because here's the thing. I just mentioned that the news cycle had kind of moved on from mainstream sports coverage. We're about to start the season. Raptors season openers on Tuesday. LeBron James continues to say, hey, I'm not educated enough on the subject. He just echoes what his commissioner said yesterday.
Yeah.
And we're all cool. Like, your league is already on record as saying Daryl Morey has his full right to speak his mind through Twitter or whatever means he decides is necessary. And while we might not necessarily agree with that, it's his right. It's right there in the Constitution. If LeBron James just said, hey, I don't know enough about this, you guys can have those discussions. I know I'm socially, I'm very active and I talk a lot about the social issues in this country. That one I'm not as well versed enough to talk about. But Daryl Morey can say what he wants and whatever. Let's move on.
Yeah, he could have even said, like,
That's not what he said.
I want to read more about this. I want to learn more about this. I'm interested in Chinese culture. I want to know what's happening with Hong Kong. I don't want to speak too early. That's actually one of the worst things about this is that this wasn't done in the heat of the moment, right? Like, LeBron had a long time to do this. This wasn't someone sticking a microphone in his face an hour after the Morey tweet and asking him to respond. Like, this is someone who had time to craft or formulate how he was going to handle this because, again, he's known as someone who is a voice when it comes to matters like this. He knows that he's been the most important player in the NBA. He has been an advocate for social change and for human rights. His shoes have equality written on the bottom of them. And I just don't see how LeBron James or how anyone cannot look at him now And it's fine, okay? Like we all sell out for certain things, right? Like you
Well, that's
all
the thing.
compromise on stuff.
There was a sellout way to do this
yeah.
where it wasn't as offensive, right? Like there was, and
I'm
we
just
wouldn't
saying
have faulted him.
I'm just saying we can never separate those two things again. Like I don't care what LeBron James has to say on things anymore. Like I'm just a fact. Like I don't know how you could look at LeBron James and stand up and he said, "I'm more than an athlete." And it's like, all right, like I guess so. Your father, like, yeah, you're human.
Mhm.
I don't really want to hear your stance on things, man, because I know that you're only going to make a stance on things that don't involve money. Like, I know you're only going to take a stance on something that doesn't risk, tickets at the box office for Space Jam 2.
Yeah.
And what your deal is with Nike and how you're going to market yourself in China.
Mhm.
And like, this is just an embarrassing moment for him. Like, I just cannot believe that LeBron, with his camp and with his handlers and all these people, came out and said this. And again, like if you listen to the statement over and over again, he's just so clearly not speaking about what he says he was in the second part of it.
Yeah.
Like, why are people emotionally and spiritually, like, what are you talking about? Like, to call someone uneducated on a subject who Daryl Morey has, as the general manager of the Houston Rockets, obviously more interaction and connection to China than any other team in the NBA. Like, it's just, that's the fact.
Mhm.
To think that he just flippantly tweeted that thing, like, I'm sure he didn't think of the outcome of it, but I'm sure he also has done, more than a modicum of research on the situation.
Yeah, he didn't just say like, Hong Kong protest against China. That seems good. Like, I'll tweet that out.
Daryl Morey is an MIT grad who rose to the top of a uber competitive profession without a background in that area of expertise. He is incredibly smart. He has changed the game. Like, he, I think, is a pretty well thought person. And I'm not gonna, LeBron's education is irrelevant here. I saw people making that point. I don't care. Like, there have been lots of smart people who have high school diplomas. Like, that's not a thing.
Mhm.
But what is a thing is just to say to someone else, like, you're not educated on something, you weren't thoughtful about something, you were ignorant about something. That's usually the defense of someone who actually doesn't know what's going on. And that's what that sounded like to me with LeBron James.
Well,
I don't know how he walks this back now. Like, I don't know how we ever look at LeBron the same way when it comes to the non-basketball side of his image.
Yeah, the thing that gets me is when you're thinking only about yourself.
Yeah, like,
Thinking only about yourself, sending out the tweet that is in support of the thousands of protesters who are speaking out and risking their own personal safety.
Just unconscionably dumb. Like, every part of this, it's just worse and worse. You're so right. Like, this guy is standing up for human rights.
Yeah.
And freedom of speech.
He's only thinking about himself, though.
And it's just, wow, what a selfish act. You are so selfish, Daryl. Don't you know we have money over there that we're trying to get for ourselves? And you selfishly blocked our money.
Here's the thing.
Brutal.
That is an element of it, and it's why, hey, if Daryl Morey had thought more about that, obviously he wouldn't have tweeted out because he deleted the tweet. Like, while he believes in that cause, he wasn't willing to go to the wall with it, keeping the tweet up there and backing it up and saying, hey, listen, I don't know if this is going to cost me my job or not, but this what's happening here. I'm just so much on one side that I will not be silenced. He hasn't done that because he didn't understand how much it would affect the bottom line of his place of business and other people who have financial interests in China. But the guy still understood there would be some blowback to speaking out against a country which his franchise in particular has a lot at stake.